Namato Ratana Tayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Zem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening, everyone. So today is Monday, the 2nd of November, 2020. And this is Achan Sujan from Varapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen, Scotland. As usual, I'm here with you all. Hi everyone, Margaret, Manish and everyone, those who are here with. And thank you everyone for listening tonight's this ongoing Dhamma talk that have started from April, and we have covered so many different topics and so many different aspects of the Buddha's teachings and how to apply those teachings in our day-to-day life, and importantly to understand the teachings of the Buddha in different aspects. In particularly for 3 months during the Vassa time, I cover only one discourse and covering almost all the major parts of the Buddha's teachings through the eyes of the first discourse of the Buddha. And it's been a week that I have been talking on the Paticcasamuppada and talking in different aspects of it. And I was reading from the discourse. That's from the Sutta, from this Samyutta Nikaya, from the Nidana Samyutta, the connected verses, connected discourses. And yesterday I managed to read and elaborate on all the 12 factors of the dependent origination. And tonight I have made this first notes on these, that how we can look at on this Paticcasamuppada in different aspects. And the first thing that we need to understand that dependent origination is one of the very important teachings of the Buddha, and also very important teachings to be enlightened. And there was someone who asked me saying that where this Paticcasamuppada or the dependent origination fits in the Four Noble Truth. And when we talk about the first discourse of the Buddha, we focus on all the main factors of the Buddha's teachings where it doesn't say there is any sign of the Paticcasamuppada. But in fact, at the end, I even mentioned during that series of a talk that Buddha did mention, in that sutta particularly, the first discourse of the Buddha, there is a one sentence saying that all conditioned dhammas are subject to decay. Yeah? And that is basically direct linked with the Paticcasamuppada or dependent origination. But again, in order to, even we can look at it more closely, the Paticcasamuppada is a part of the second noble truth and third noble truth. In terms of the second noble truth, and if you've been following, you would understand that that means the samudaya vara, which means the origination of things. And then this so far been explaining the dependent origination is basically origination itself is telling us how that origins. And that is a samudaya vara. Okay? Samudaya means the cause of the suffering. Dukkha samudaya means cause of a suffering. So that's why in the form of a becoming or in a form of a creation, it starts from avijja to the aging and death, is basically the part of the second noble truth. And in terms of the third noble truth, again, the third noble truth is the cessation of a suffering, the dukkha nirodha, cessation of all the sufferings. And here, the process of how the suffering ends, that explains in this paticcasamuppada called nirodha vara, which means the cessation of or reverse of the paticcasamuppada, that starts from, again, early on, in terms of the origination, it is the condition, avijja, or the ignorance as a condition to arise the volitional formation, whereas in a nirodha, the cessation way, it is talking about avijja, transform it, or you have fully understood avijja. That means that understanding of avijja means having a wisdom to understand things, and that means that is conditioning to the cessation of any volitional action. So with that goes on, and then volitional action being ceased, then there won't be any consciousness. The consciousness ceases, and then again there won't be nama rupa, or the five aggregates, and all the six senses, and like that it goes around to the cessation or the ending of it. Okay, so that's why this is very strongly related to the Four Noble Truth in this way. So that's when we are studying the paticcasamuppada, the dependent origination, we have to study in both ways. The first is how it is created, or the origination of it, and then the second is how the suffering is ceased. So that's why this is an important factor in terms of understanding the teachings. And here again, in terms of the arising, paticcasamuppada, when we talk about the starts as the depending on something, like avijja as the main cause or the main root cause of all other things to arise, and this sequence is called a will of a becoming. It's called a bhavacakra, or also known as a will of rebirth. So basically, the whole paticcasamuppada is talking about the rebirth too. I remember when I was very young and still a babe, still like a little boy, and at that time I didn't have any knowledge about paticcasamuppada or even the Buddha or Buddhism at all, and didn't have any thought of becoming a Buddhist either. And those days, again, just going, wandering around in Hindu temples and paying respect to the different deities in small temples around in a village. And that was our daily routine, which I normally do every morning, sometimes along with my father, and other time just go and wander around. And we have one close relationship. They are not relatives, but a family who normally comes to visit in our house, and then we also go to visit their house. And they didn't have any children, so we normally visit their house. And in their house, in the living room, there was a very scary picture written or hanged, and I always had a question of, that's a very scary one. And that scary picture basically was the explanation of dependent origination in a picture form. It's called kala. And every time when I went into their house, and I always feel very scary of looking at this picture. And the lady, when I asked her what does this picture mean, and she explained to me that it is something that belongs to Tibet, and they believe in this, and they studied this, and having that in their houses brings good luck. And that was the explanation I got. And little did I know that this is the explanation of a paticca samuppada, the dependent origination, in the form of the pictures. Because the picture was like a huge demon is opening his belly, and and the whole the 12 links are displayed. And his feet are so big, like a giant, and the tail so long. And other side, one side, the left side, there is a Buddha pointing towards the another, the light, something like that. So, and I kept that picture in my mind at all the time. And so later on, as I became a Buddhist monk and studied and still didn't understand much at that time, but as I joined a university and studying this paticca samuppada in pictures, and one of our lecturers showed that similar picture and saying that this is paticca samuppada, the dependent origination that Tibetan Buddhists have depicted in the picture form. And that time I realized what the picture was about, which I've seen when I was very young age. So that is the paticca samuppada, which explains about the time, explains about the becoming, and then it explains about how things are becoming. So that's why in that, looking at that timeline of this whole system, how one rebirth or take rebirth or reborn in the samsara, paticca samuppada is explaining that quite well. And this again based on the concept of the karma too. So in this way we can see that the paticca samuppada has got the three distinct lifetimes. The one is called the a past, or the one lifetime, or the past lifetime, which again I think I have explained it other nights, that is that there are two things which regarded as the past time, or the previous lives, and that is the ignorance and volitional formation. And this is known as the past. And this is one way of looking at it. And in terms of the present, and this is again a one-time line, and that is the consciousness, or the vijnana, and then the nama rupa, the mind and a body and six senses, and how the six senses come to contact, and after the contact of the six senses, that brings the sensation, and that sensation again causes the craving, and because of the craving we have a clinging or a grasping on that, what we have seen, what we have heard, and because of that clinging one thing exists. So up to this is known as a present time, although this is also one life, one of time, or lifetime. And then after that, bhava, or the birth, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, regarded as another one lifetime, or the third lifetime, or even you can call it future. So this is one way of looking at in terms of the timeline. And again, I have mentioned that although these are defined in a distinct lifetime, but it's not a definite. We shouldn't be taking it literally that these are the times, because these will link one another as along the way when we study the paticca samuppada. And with this, again, there are in a basic way, in order to understand the Paticca or the dependent origination, we can look at ourselves in our day-to-day life, and which again I have used a lot in terms of the understanding the present moment. And people normally ask me that we cannot control over our past, and then we have no control over the future. So how can we change our destiny? And my understanding is that we are in the present moment simply because of the past actions that we have taken. So present moment is basically the result of the past action that we have performed. And that is the reason why, if you want to know your past, look at now what you are, what you're doing, and what you have become. And so that's how you will know what your past is. And in the meantime, now the future is, again, it's up to you how to change. It's up to you. Now is the time to change your destiny. Do not wait for the future to change, or do not wait that tomorrow I'm going to change, or next day I'm going to be a good person. No way. You have to do it now. You have to change it now. And in this concept, again, when we look at there are so many famous theories about so-called the superstitions, predictions, palmistries, looking at your birthdays and looking at your palms and looking at your face and looking at your appearance. People would predict in the future that this person is that, that person is that. And I always take that as the truth. I do not disagree with someone who has skilled and learned about these theories or these science. And I do accept them and I agree with them too, but not as the 100%. I will just take it as only 50% truth. It's like I normally take it as example of if you are investing in a shares, or you are buying some shares in the stock market, you would not invest any without investigating those companies. So you would be going around and investigating or reading about the company that you are going to invest. And with that, you have good knowledge about that company, that how far it is going to increase the assets, the investment that you are going to invest, and you will get the profit. And that's all based on previous history. And same with us, that we all have a previous history. Some are good, others are bad, or some people may have a bad previous more than other people, or other people have a good previous actions than someone else. So on the basis of that, our history, someone who had studied so long or investigated so long in this science, they do have some form of a knowledge about ourselves. So we have to accept that. And the fact is here that that was the past, and as a result of that, they are able to know about yourself, how your behaviors are and how you're doing and how you're going to change and what is your future would be if you remain or continue doing same thing that you have been doing. Now, if you change your behavior, if you change your mind and you decided to do something else from now on, then the destiny will change. And that destiny which has changed, not because external power or not because of someone has changed it for you, but it's entirely because of your own effort to change to something else. And that is the reason why enlightenment is also takes place in the present moment only, not in the past or in the future. All what we are doing simply is the accumulation of the merits or perfecting our perfections. That's all we do. And end of the day, somehow one day when everything is fulfilled, then we will receive or attain the enlightenment. And there is nothing more than that. And in the practice of a meditation, what all we are doing is to be mindful in the present moment and aware of every action that we are taking. And that action that we do is changing our future destiny. So that is exactly what the dependent origination is teaching us in another aspects when we look at the dependent origination. So in this concept, when we look at our life, if someone would like to have a success in their life, then it's up to them how much effort they have put, or how much plan, how much dedication and determination, how careful and that person is, and whether the person has got a sufficient knowledge about it or not. So it's all based on individuals' effort, dedication, knowledge, and wisdom, not by anybody else. So this is teaching us to be what's called having a self-confidence in yourself. And that self-confidence you have to develop, and that development you can do by yourself. Do not wait for somebody else. And do not lie on that I was this and I was that, I have been like this, I was like this, and I cannot do this, I cannot do that. Do not put in that way. We need to active, and we have to have a self-confidence that we can change our behavior, we can change the way we live, and only then we can be able to change our destiny. So the destiny that we change based on the action that we take here and now in the present moment. So forget about all the past. Do not let the past to control you. Past is a history. So leave that history behind. But that is a lesson too. So we just take it as a lesson. Because of that history, I am not success in this present moment. But now I had to change. And this change in the present moment will change the destiny in the future. So that's why I normally say to everyone that Buddhism is not about any external things. It's about how you're going to change your destiny. And that change, the destiny, is not because of somebody else, but because of your own effort. And this is how another way of looking at it. Because there is a past cause and a present, and the reason behind this, the dependent origination, how that links to ourself is there is a past cause, and because of the past cause, we are here now. And as we are here now, whatever we do, that does matter. And that is, any action that we are performing is basically the cause for the future results. So we have past action that we have done, and as a result, we have a present results that we have now. And then when we are here now, we are performing something, action, through our bodily, verbally, or even the thinking. So these are three things, three doors that we are doing actions is basically a cause, the present cause. So we are creating the cause for the future to arise. And then the next step is the results that we have to accept. Whatever we have done, whatever we have committed, whatever we have planned now, that is the cause. And then the result, what's called a vipaka, the result that we have to face in the future, whether it is near future or distant future, whether it is in this life or in the coming lives. So that is another way of looking at the dependent origination. And this is a very practical way of looking at it in our day-to-day life. And if we keep in understanding that we are what we were, what we are what we were, and then we will be what we are. So this is the method of understanding the present moment. And this is how one should be able to understand. And the very moment when we understood in this way, the Paticcasamuppada, or the dependent origination, completes. And this is only the two ways of looking at it I have explained. There are more ways of looking at it, in which I will speak along the way following days. So I will end here for tonight with this reflection, and may you all be well and happy. Thank you very much for listening, and may you all take care, and good night. May the Buddha Dhamma Sangha bless you. In a few moments time we are going to have evening chanting and guided meditation. You are most welcome to join with us. Until then, good night and see you shortly. Take care. Sadhu.